Welcome back, Truth Seeker. This is not going to be a true TFR episode. Again, Truth Frequency Radio, as it stands, is pretty much an extinct radio network. I was the last live broadcast on there, and eventually I lost my ability to get into the site as well. So I know it's for a lot of people, it's been disappointing to not have the weekly show. I do intend in the future to get back into a weekly show. I don't know if I'll keep it on Wednesday, or maybe I just will, because historically that's the night we've done it on, and sometimes a tradition is a good thing to go back to. But I probably will not get back to a regular show until maybe next year sometime, after I adjust to life with a little one. So anyway, for the time being, I do want to do live streams at least once a week. In the last week or so, I've been putting out a bunch of short videos to see if it helps, and I think it does help a little bit. I think the channel does a little bit better than when I'm live streaming. YouTube seems to not like the live streams. It gets really bad analytics, and if you get bad analytics, it ranks you lower in the algorithm, so less people find your channel, essentially. However, that said, when we had the Wednesday night show, TFR, that was always a pretty high viewership show, even in the years of viewership being down. So, yeah, anyway, eventually I do want to get back to a regularly scheduled show. For the time being, I'll try and do a stream on Wednesday as long as possible, but it'll be earlier in the day than what we used to do at the TFR time, which was always 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern. And I couldn't change that because I was on that radio network and that was my time slot. But maybe that's what we'll eventually get back to. So just got to make an adjustment in life here in a few months. And assuming I'll be able to carve out a little niche of time, we can do the regularly scheduled show in that period. But that said, for today, Wednesday, I just want to get caught up on everything, review some things. There were some short videos I put out earlier this week where I didn't get as detailed as I could have. I didn't talk about everything in the post. So a few things I want to add to. We're going to get to the big distraction of the day. Donald Trump in Chicago, right, where the DNC convention is going to be. Obama's city. And if you missed the news today, Trump was being interviewed by a panel of black women in Chicago, and it got a little bit catty. Trump got a little bit catty. You know, there's rumors about the small hands. He didn't do very well with this panel, and he looked quite petty, and some people are saying he came off as a racist based on what he said about Kamala, how she used to identify as Indian, and now she identifies as black. And remember, it was 2019 where it was the 42nd day of the year, and CNN all day was, the headlines were about questioning Kamala's blackness. We can go back to those headlines. We've been talking about them in recent weeks. But yes, this comes right before the DNC convention where Kamala is going to be the one, potentially the first black female president. And I mean, what are the odds that Trump's even having this scenario just weeks ahead of it? Have we ever, and Trump's almost been hogging the spotlight for 10 years now. Next year, 2025, will mark 10 years of Donald Trump just commanding the spotlight almost every single day in the news since he announced he was running for president, which again was 2015. But I don't ever remember him being interviewed by a panel of black women. You know what I mean? And then in Chicago, Obama's town, again, Obama, one-term senator that went to the White House with Biden. Kamala, one-term senator that went to the White House with Biden. You ain't black if you ain't voting for Biden. So anyway, we'll talk more about this and the fact that today's 47 days after Trump's birthday. Of course, Kamala could become number 47 if Biden doesn't finish his term, like Barack took the White House with him at age 47. And again, Trump could become the first split-term president since Grover Cleveland, and the president between the Grover Cleveland terms was Harrison. So anyway, we'll touch more on that. Also, Kamala, her full name, Kamala Devi Harris. Kamala Devi means lotus goddess. Kamala Devi means lotus goddess. So I just decided to look up when lotus flowers bloom. Look at the months they bloom, June to August. Interesting, June to August. Kind of late in the blooming cycle compared to a lot of other flowers. And remember, it was on the eve of June 1st. It was already June 1st in India when it happened. But the news broke that night, May 31st. Breaking news that night, Michelle Obama's mother had died. And again, Michelle turned 60 at the beginning of this year. Kamala's about to turn 60 in October. It's the 60th election. We've learned that 60 is the 42nd composite number. Big number with Kamala and Black history. But June through August, and since Michelle's mom died 2 days later, Mexico got its first female president. Then next thing you know, it was the debates and the rumors that Biden might be stepping down. He's looking so bad. Kamala could become the first female president. And we're slowly on that path, more and more each day as the narrative unfolds. But, Kamala, with all the parallels to Obama, he's about to turn 63 on August 4th. Last year, I think his chef was in the river about this time, or was it the lake? And then next thing you knew, it was the Lion King actor. And a lot of people didn't get that the voice actor from Simba died, and it was in the news at the time of Obama's birthday last year. They missed the joke, and that's because they forgot the 2011 White House Correspondents' Dinner, where Obama joked that he was born in Africa, and the proof was that he was Simba from the Lion King. And funny enough, in Gematria, Simba equals 44, like in Obama number 44. And keep in mind, Leo is the time of the lion. But yeah, this thing about Kamala Devi, Lotus Goddess, August starts tomorrow. I mean, 8-1 could get interesting. She just got the record $81 million in 24 hours. Biden got the record 81 million votes. He's 81 years old right now. Reagan nearly got it in 81. But yeah, I had to point that out too. Again, the convention's going to be in Chicago. And don't forget, Chicago equals 46 in Gematria, right? And remember, when Chicago won their first Super Bowl, it was with the revolutionary 4-6 defense, and they won 46-10. Scripted sports, scripted politics. It's obvious why it's in Chicago this year in the time of number 46, where Kamala's on the verge of number 47. And now seeing how the lotuses are in bloom in August, it's like, wow, this just makes way too much sense. I put out some short videos on Simone Biles today, and just quickly, in case you missed those, she set a record for most medals for a U.S. athlete on her 139th day of her age. Special number there, 139. America's got that 139, like Freemasonry, the nation founded by many a Freemason. The nation founded right after the Illuminati that had plans to infiltrate Freemasonry. It's also got that 139 connection. But yeah, Simone Biles. And they had to make the point that she did it to the music of Taylor Swift. And remember, they're calling this the 33rd Summer Olympics. So look at this. She sets the record. Simone, her first name has that Gematria 33. But to the music of Taylor Swift, exactly 33 weeks into Taylor Swift's age at the 33rd Olympics. I mean, come on. If you want to read the post here, there's more to it. The song that they were playing, Ready for It. That's interesting. Ready for what? Rumors of world war during the, the world sports games that go back to these empires that used to dominate the world through war. I hate how nobody sees through the mockery that goes on every day. Nation's capital's got the same architecture all over the place, doing the same stuff, going all the way back to then, and even before that, going all the way back to Babylon. But yes, also this. Again, this weekend we celebrated it didn't really get celebrated, but it was the 110th anniversary of the start of World War I, July 28th, 2024, 110th anniversary. On that day, rumors of a much greater war, Israel threatening everywhere Hezbollah is. So since then they bombed in Lebanon and now Iran. But not only was it the anniversary again of World War I breaking out, which again ended in all numbers. The First World War ended with all ones on the board. November 11th, 1-1, 1-1. At 11 a.m., 1-1. Again, Francis Ferdinand's license plate was 11-11-18. The war ends on November 11th, 1918. He'd been assassinated June 28th, and it was a month later, they said, because of that event, it led to the World War. But anyway, 42 weeks after the war began, all this popped off over the weekend. Again, world war in gematria equals 42, like war equals 42, like Iran, like Hamas. And again, it was exactly 37 weeks after the Superior General's birthday. Hezbollah equals 37. And then Turkey, where the biblical church of Philadelphia was, gets the letter in Revelation 3:7 about the synagogue of Satan. Turkey says they're on the verge of invading Israel because of what it's doing, and they're a NATO member, and that would break their alliance with NATO. Again, all of this stuff just being so perfectly executed by the same repetitive number pattern. Again, when it comes to World War, the U.S. deployed troops to World War II for the first time at the start of 1942. Again, Pearl Harbor happened at the end of 1941. World War 42, War 42, 42 weeks into the war, rumors of this while the Olympics are going on. It's just so obvious. And again, for years, you go back to my old website, freetofindtruth.blogspot.com, and search Iran in 42. We've been talking about the rituals they've been doing with rumors of a greater war with Iran for really, it's been going on forever. 42 over and over. Now, here we are at this very interesting moment in history. Again, what's so interesting about this moment in history is who's behind this code. Again, the same people who gave us the calendar and the language, and that's the Jesuits. Jesuit equals 42, like Georgetown. Again, right now we're in the time of the first Jesuit Pope and both the Jesuit Pope and the Superior General are from the Americas, which is interesting. Latin America, very Catholic down there, but it's never been that way before. Again, the Pope is 87 right now, and the Superior General is 75. And that's very interesting because the founder of the Jesuits, his name, Ignatius of Loyola, equals 75. And when you run it in reverse, 87. So again, and NATO just turned 75. And again, this war began while Israel was 75 years old. And right now, but the Gaza Strip is 75 years old right now. Again, New World Order equals 75. And it was back in the early 90s, 11 years to the day of 9/11, September 11th, 1990, at the beginning of it, that Bush was the president. And he said, eventually this new world order will be realized. And he gave that speech again in his time in office. But New World Order, again, look it up. It was in the New York Times, the same phrase, October 6, 1940. In all likelihood, if you're watching this video, you were not alive when that headline existed. But look it up, October 6, 1940, New World Order pledged to Jews. It was 75 date numerology, 10 plus 6 plus 19 plus 40, 75. New World Order equals 75 in gematria, like order out of chaos, like order itself, like Catholic Church, like Roman Catholic. Again, like the name of the leader of the founder of the Jesuits. The time of Israel's existence, this war breaks out after that headline all those years ago. That headline was from 8 years before Israel became a nation. But remember, that plan was already in motion. The Nazis and the German Jews, some of them, made an agreement to send 60,000 Jewish Europeans to Palestine in 1933. That was an agreement with the Nazis and the Jewish people of Germany. And again, that was the early roots of Israel, which became a permanent thing because of Hitler and the Nazis. But it was their agreement with the German Jews that got the ball in motion, and they never teach us about that at all in school. And they don't teach us about the Balfour Declaration, which happened in the time of World War I, that had this idea of a future Israel. And remember, it's addressed to a Rothschild. Remember, one of them died this year at 87, synced up with the Pope. That Rothschild who died, you guys, he died 71 days after the Pope's birthday. Remember, this war began on the 71st birthday of Putin, 71 days before the Pope's birthday. Catholic equals 71, like the Society of Jesus equals 71. Also, Talmud. Interesting number is 71. Connects to Zeus, which connects to the name Jesus. And 71 goes with the Society of Jesus. But this year will mark the 71st anniversary of the CIA overthrowing Iran on the Jesuit order's birthday, August 15th. The overthrow began August 15th, ended August 19th, which is the day the Democratic National Convention begins this year, August 19th. Again, Kamala just has that connection to Barack. It's in his city, Chicago. Obviously, Barack Hussein Obama, very Muslim name. he became our president after all the fear mongering after 9/11 with Saddam Hussein and Osama bin Laden, all part of the mass psyop that's always going on, literally always by the numbers, by this Kabbalistic code that somehow people stay glued to and don't want to see through, even though it's manipulating them. Again, it's amazing how people want to be attached to this because it comes from an abusive cabal that just wants to control and use and abuse people. And then it's like all the people who criticize us are essentially abuse victims that just are blind to their abuser. But anyway, this escalation comes a few days after this weekend. And again, we're at 42 weeks and days, right? And now Israel's attacking in Iran, the nation that was overthrown by the CIA, coming up on the 71st anniversary in August, when lotuses bloom, or maybe when Kamala's bloom. Say it to my face, Harris calls out Trump during Atlanta rally. Oh, man. Yeah, Donald Trump today exposed, we might have seen his kryptonite. He just didn't do good with that panel of women at all. I can't stand Trump, but if you missed it, you should really watch it. It's not that long. There was one part of it I enjoyed. You know how he just panders and says stupid little phrases that the brain dead cheer to. But he goes, all the people coming across the border are taking all the black jobs. One of the women goes, so what are the black jobs? And he goes, oh, you know, the job's just like for everybody else. This is like, normally nobody's questioning him. There's like, yeah, woo, Donald Trump. It's like you listen, he's just bullshitting the whole time. It's like, what does that even mean? Yeah, all the people coming across the border are taking the black jobs. In a way, it almost sounds insulting, right? Because it's like, okay, these are low education, considered low skill people, which isn't really true. They're actually, you know, the people south of the border, instead of wasting their time in slave school learning about fake history like Christopher Columbus and Paul Revere, they're learning jobs. And that's why they come over to America. And even though they can't speak English, they can do the job better than anybody in town. They've been doing it since they were 6 years old. What do you know about Christopher Columbus? I know how to change oil. That's always in use. Here, I'm a good worker. I show up on time. I change oil. My English is very low, but I can do the job. Anyway, yeah, and honestly, I never thought there was anything wrong with that. Like I've heard people like demean Mexico because they have the children working. It's like, well, I mean, yeah, maybe there are better things that could be done, but is American slave school better? I don't think it is. Talk about a good place to send your child if you want to ruin their life, especially now. Especially now. You want to ensure that your child's way behind the young and brightest minds in the world, send them to the slave school system in America. Guaranteed to be way behind China, India, Russia, and everywhere else where they're churning out people who can do the jobs of the time. That's why you go to big tech, which runs the whole world, and there's hardly any Americans that work there. Almost no Americans at these big tech campuses in America. I do find it funny because growing up in the slave school system, our teachers used to tell us we were lucky we weren't Chinese. We'd have to go to school all year and way longer each day. And now I think back and I thought, see, that was just the mindset in America. Really, they were working their ass off, and now they have a superior education because that's the way life is. America's just in too fast food mode. Everything's got to be fast and easy, instant gratification. Can't wait 5 minutes. By the way, with regards to the Jesuits, you guys, I mean, today, the day that we go into Iran, now we're into, or I shouldn't say, well, I mean, what's the difference between Israel and the United States? Both set up in the same Jesuit ritualistic fashion, both nations by the same code. But again, notice going into Iran with the jets paid for by the U.S. taxpayers. They go in on the anniversary of Ignatius of Loyola's death, the founder of the Jesuits. Ignatius of Loyola, 75 and 87. The Superior General, 75. The Pope, 87. Escalation by a code, by a repetitive pattern that we've talked about since forever, unfolding again. Those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. Those who don't know Kabbalah and about this cabal are doomed not to see what we're exposing every day. That's simple mathematics. Again, I literally could teach this to second graders. Second graders could pick this up. Of course, as they got older, they'd become a lot more advanced to it. But you could teach a second grader how ABC is 1, 2, 3. Again, I mean, if it's an education system, I mean, the people who had the vision for this nation, they wanted us to have rights and liberties to protect ourselves from enemies, foreign and domestic. And again, I mean, if the young little ones are going into a state school system run by the enemy, that is the problem. That is exactly what it is. But how do you get information to children so that they have a chance, a greater chance to not be taken in and indoctrinated by like at least 90% of the population is? If you were wearing your slave muzzle and getting your good little pokey doke because Big Brother said so, you know you're one of the 90%. That's for sure. That is absolutely for sure. And it wasn't along political lines. It was along, I'll just shut up there, but it's amazing how many people let Big Brother bully him into the latest. Well, it's not even the latest obvious deception, but one of the latest. Again, this whole thing with the seeming mocking of the Last Supper with the opening ceremony of the Olympics in France, the home of the Jesuits, who love to mock humanity every day. We did a decode on this. The Last Supper equals Jesuit order forwards and backwards. Again, just for the record, those numbers are 54 and 72. And again, in 72, you had the tragedy at the Olympics, the terrorist attack blamed on the Palestinian group Black Sunday, supposedly attacking the Jews in Germany back in 72. Again, just they know they have a world stage and a chance to introduce some kind of conflict along religious lines just to stir people up. And anyway, when our news media was talking about this over the week, one of the days, Pat McAfee, his response became so important. What would we know if we didn't hear from what the football kicker thought about it? But they had to have Pat McAfee talk about it on his 89th day of his age. Again, how he felt about this. And again, there's 89 chapters in the gospel, the story of Jesus, where the Last Supper comes from. Religion equals 89, like King James was the Bible named after him. But again, just, his number was up that day. They had to focus on Pat McAfee, what he thought. I mean, this was top buzzing news on 3 cable networks for the better part of that day. It was just like, well, I hate this drama society. Once upon a time, ESPN, the network that he now broadcasts on, they would have just been showing you sports highlights. They wouldn't be showing you like an hour segment with this guy trying to pull you into the drama. That's just what's happened in the 21st century. Everything's become so much more about drama, reality TV, drama. It's been a bad manifestation the whole 21st century. The age of social media has failed because I don't know. It didn't have to be this way. All things good and bad, but the society's just become so much more emotional and drama oriented. I mean, in a way, everyone should be like, literally, who cares? I'm not going to let that bother me. Okay, some weirdos plan the ceremony, or understand and just see through why they do it. Just understand. These people are constantly going to be provoking humanity. Are you allowing it to provoke you? Are you allowing this to make you have some kind of a reason to then attack another group? It's just that's what really needs to be understood. Learn how we are being manipulated so that you're not manipulated by it. If you're aware of the tactic being used against you, you're less likely to fall in the trap. Again, this Taylor Swift thing, the day before her music's being used for Simone Biles to set the record. Again, if you missed this, the Southport stabbing, I have a video or two on this, but a lot of media called it a stabbing spree. Happened on the 137 days from Taylor Swift's upcoming birthday, and also the 137th day since the Ides of March, which again is to remember the stabbing of Caesar in 44 BC, which went with the name of the town. But the first video I put out on this, I spiraled off into other things with Taylor Swift and how they're just attaching her to everything. Like she just has to be attached to everything. Now Simone Biles, Super Bowl, the election, conspiracy theories of Taylor Swift and Joe Biden. I mean, just all this crap they've been trying to shove down our throats. And I was thinking about that actually with them connecting Taylor Swift to a gymnast named Simone Biles, because the bile is the stuff in your stomach that helps you digest your food. I believe sometimes when you vomit, the bile can come up with it. And I was just thinking about that, like how Taylor Swift shoved down our throat this thing in the UK right before. We're not too far from France here. But anyway, in that video, I was talking about how they had to make the whole 104th NFL season about Taylor Swift. And again, her full name, Taylor Allison Swift, equals 104. Her boyfriend's team wins the Super Bowl. His coach stays on 58 losses in Super Bowl 58. But anyway, the kid who they blamed for the mass stabbing, his name was Ali Al-Shakati, which equals 104. I was just like, because I know in the first video I did, we didn't have this information. It wasn't out yet who the stabber was. But then hours later it was, and I said, look at that. Just another 104. Rituals. And if you missed the longer video, again, we got into where this happened. Or just all the satanic connections to this. And again, there's rumors out there that Taylor Swift is the daughter of Anton LaVey, the founder of the Church of Satan, which has a lot of connections back to the Jesuits. But again, just how stabbing spree and Church of Satan overlap is interesting. And then the date numerology that this occurred was 80, and it was synced up with her 35th birthday. And yeah, it's just like her concert last year where the young woman died at it in South America. She was singing the song Cruel Summer with lyrics about the devil. And, all the numbers were there. We covered that, but just another suspicious thing. And wasn't she in Rio de Janeiro, if I remember right? And they said the woman died because it was hotter than normal. And Rio de Janeiro is where back in 92, all the world leaders signed off on Agenda 21 on the day leaving 201 days left in the year. Like Rio de Janeiro's 201. I'm pretty sure that's where that was when that happened. And it goes with Anton LaVey dying 201 days from his birthday and 201 days from the Pope's birthday, when 201's that pinnacle number with the Jesuits. And yeah, just the building, a story meant to tug at everybody's heartstrings. The Heart Space was the name of the building where this happened, where these kids were killed. The Heart Space. Impacting people's heart space. Again, because they know so many people are hooked up. Especially, I just imagine young children just, you're a young child, you're following this, you got social media, you got your own phone, this is coming in, you're just thinking like, God, what an awful world I live in. Man, I go to dance camp too, and what if that happened at my dance camp? That's what I mean. All this stuff they do, you guys, it really does have the greatest impact on the children. I've been saying this since I got here. I knew this since before I got here, but the kids who are like first graders today, before you know it, they're voting. Time flies by. When I started this channel, every child who was 7 years old then is now 18 and can vote in this election. And that was 2013 when I started, shortly after Sandy Hook, when they really started pressing on TV that, the future generation is going to have to overturn all this bad policy that leads to all this needless death. They're cultivating a generation that really wants to give up their Second Amendment right. And pretty much nobody even cares about the First Amendment anymore. Again, you lose those two amendments, you pretty much lose every single way to protect yourself from tyranny. And yeah, it's sad, but so is celebrities and ritual sacrifice. And is this story just a completely made up headline to just cause emotional damage to everyone who reads it? Or did this even happen? And is it that much more disgusting and gross? I know so many anonymous supposed truth channels like to say that everything's a hoax. It's possible. It's possible that a lot of this stuff is a complete hoax. I've seen plenty of things where I know they were lying to us. I've talked about it many times. But again, I don't think it's fair to assume that every single thing is completely fake and made up. So it requires further research. Don't jump to conclusions without doing enough research. And sometimes, because of where we are, we don't have access to enough research to even fully answer every last question. But that's why I stick to what I do. Anybody can do this from the outside. Just pay attention to the gematria and the date numerology and the repetitive things that unfold, and be ahead of the curve as we have been since we got here. But it's just like making a video before the killer's name's put out and talking about her in 104, and then the killer's name's 104. It's like, go figure. Go figure. Again, in case you missed it, the head of the Secret Service, who had that Jesuit order birthday August 15th, she stepped down. And did you see who replaced her? Ronald Roe, with all the parallels from Donald Trump to Ronald Reagan and how Trump loves McDonald's with Ronald McDonald. And just, again, but before it was Ronald versus Donald with Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump's feud. It's just, it really is just painful the way they beat us over the head with their mockery, and how most people just do not blink an eye. Like, are you saying there's some kind of conspiracy? I mean, it's like programmed into like half of America to just come out that way. It's like, well, doesn't it seem weird? And then you know what the next line is? They're almost all the same way. It's like wind up toys. Yeah, kind of weird, but I mean, a lot of coincidences happen. I mean, I just say it's a coincidence. Let's get back to the game. USA. All right. I'm just waiting for the headline that Donald Trump buys the entire Secret Service McDonald's. Don't kid yourself. Again, just this whole thing with the leader of Turkey threatening to invade Israel and go against the NATO alliance. Keep in mind, they were the only country that joined in 52, and that was 72 years ago, that big Jesuit number. Talk about that one a lot. There's a reason, again, we got the first Jesuit Pope on the 72nd day of the year. There's a reason Beau Biden died when Joe was 72, and there's a reason Joe got elected in 72. I'm talking about Joe Biden, and his whole family died pretty much right after that, or his wife and daughter, and then survivor Beau dies years later at age 46, again, 201 days before the Pope's birthday. But while his dad was 72, again, the Pope was 78 at the time, like Joe took office at 78. And now Trump's having his big rituals while Biden's going down at 78. It's another Jesuit number as well, all over the Butler shooting. But Turkey being the only nation to join in 52. Remember, prophecy equals 52 and 110. It was on the 110th anniversary of the start of World War I that the leader of Turkey threatened to attack Israel. And remember, the prophecy numbers are 52, 110, 106. Remember the New York Times headline about the New World Order pledged to Jews? That was October 6th, 106. Arthur Greenwood, who pledged it, his surname had the 106 connection. The other number for prophecy is 29. And this happened Sunday, July 28th. Got a lot of media attention as well on the 29th about how if this happened, it could cause a lot of chaos. And I thought just how perfect how it lines up, and the fact that they were the only country to join NATO in 52. They were the 11th country to join, the master number 11. The initial 10 countries founded in America in 1949. And remember, America equals 49 like Washington. And then what we learned recently about 49, the greater magic of the number 49 is it's the 33rd composite number. Scottish equals 49. The highest degree of the Scottish Rite's 33. Masonry, order, secrecy, federal are all 33. The Masonic Scottish Rite headquarters in D.C. with 33 columns on the outside that are each 33 feet tall. So learning about the composite numbers is very interesting. It is another part of the code, just like how prime numbers are. Essentially what composite numbers are numbers that are not prime. So prime numbers are more unique, but I was talking about the 60-42 thing with the racial code yesterday with what they did with Kamala in this election. 60 is the 42nd composite number. You know, like the N-word has that 60 and 42 connection. So many things connected to slavery and black history have that 42 connection, and there's plenty of 60 in there as well. Also, in light of them joining in 52, so many special things about the number 52, but just the abbreviation NWO has that 52. New World Order 75 with all these 75s going on. NATO being 75 years old. And just with regards to the Jesuit Code, the day that he made that threat was 153 days after his birthday. Jesuit Order 153. Again, the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt founded the Illuminati. The Illuminati's 153. Holy Bible's 153. By the way, a lot of people like to point out that Adam Weishaupt was born Jewish, and then they use that to blame Jews and say the Jews run the Illuminati. I'd say that's a dumb argument because, again, his parents died when he was very young, and he was adopted and raised by a very prominent Jesuit priest in the area who made him like a scholar. And then he founded the Illuminati at the college in Bavaria where a lot of Jesuits taught. And then again, you think about colleges, Yale models Skull and Bones after the Illuminati 2 years after he dies, Adam Weishaupt, and he died on the 322nd day of the year, and they called the thing Order 322. Don't forget, Jesuit Order equals 54 like Bavaria. Bush, the Skull and Bones member, won the 54th election. And then do I have to remind you what happened after that? I mean, it got totally Illuminati. Everything, 9/11, everything. 21st century takeover. Don't forget, Jesuit equals 21. Bible equals 21. Using the Bible like a playbook. The Tower of Babel ends in Genesis 11:9. The towers are down to divide the world on the 11th day of the 9th month. Anyhow, 153, big Jesuit number, big Illuminati number, big biblical number. The miraculous catch of 153 fish. Holy Bible's got that 153. So, again, just biblical themes. The Church of Philadelphia gets the letter about the synagogue of Satan in Revelation 3:7. This is all popping off after the latest Hezbollah stuff. Hezbollah equals 37, like Revelation 3:7. Again, 37 weeks after the Superior General's birthday, this is happening. He's born in 54. Erdogan, however you pronounce his last name. I think it's Erdogan. Could be wrong, but you know what though? It just makes me sad. People from Turkey, just people from all over the world. But I when I used to have my medical delivery business, I had several customers who had immigrated from Turkey and lived in America, and they were just really cool people. They were all beautiful people too, just like very healthy, athletic, fit, fun, energetic. I used to have a lot of cool customers. I kind of miss what I used. Oh man, I used to have a good time. But anyway, still try to have a good time. But my old business was a fun business. Yeah, it's gross how these people are just constantly making conflict for their big banking war Ponzi scheme, playing us all like fools by a little stupid I shouldn't say stupid Kabbalistic code. It's actually there really is an organic side, but what they do is stupid. This mimicking and this crap, it's stupid. And don't forget what they did on the 37th day of the year with that crazy earthquake in Philadelphia, or the biblical Philadelphia. It was while the Grammys were going on, and Sam Smith and the transgender singer were dancing to flames on the stage. It's like, oh man, talk about synagogue of Satan. Woo! So Turkey has that gematria 28 as well. 28 is a special number. It's a perfect number. His remarks on the 28th. Okay, and you know, I did a little post on this earthquake when it broke, and I started talking about the rock, but I didn't do a decode on it. I just knew that we said when the rock turns 52 in May 2nd, that could be a very interesting year for natural disasters. He's got the whole San Andreas thing, and again, they synced up his live action film coming out, Moana, with the Maui fire last year. If you missed that work, you got to check it out. It's undeniable and it's sick. But you know what's crazy? Again, he's 52 right now with a May 2nd birthday, 5'2". The number of weather warfare, weird stuff with the earth, crazy earthquakes like this. I had to look at what the Miami Hurricanes, his football team that he used to play for, what their schedule was like. You know what's crazy? His former football team plays in the Bay Area. Again, he's from the Bay Area, The Rock, the actor The Rock, who's 52 with a 5'2" birthday, who they sync crazy stuff up with. His Miami Hurricanes play Cal on October 5th, 10-5. And it's interesting because they've synced up a recent Super Bowl with The Rock with the show Ballers, where he buys the Chiefs. That episode was 112 days before they won the Super Bowl, when Super Bowl equals 112, like Chiefs equals 112. And I'm trying to think of the Kansas City Chief, number 59. shout out to Ro. Ro called me earlier today, and he brought up a death of a chief in the past. So I looked it up, and I was like, wow, Ro, that's crazy. It was 8 years ago today that I did the post on his death. Belcher, Javon Belcher. We'll go back and look at that. What the work looked like 8 years ago from today. It's covering the same stuff, but it actually looks like his passing, number 59 for the Chiefs, has something to do with this upcoming season. Anyway, the Ballers episode, again, where he bought the Chiefs, was 112 days before the Super Bowl. Belcher died on the first day of the 12th month, 112. He was a Chief. These patterns, they happen all the time when you pay attention. But I started in the video just talking about how I bet there's something here at the Rock. I should have just done it in real time. Look at this. Right after I got off, I looked. I was like, look at that, you guys. They report this 5.2 earthquake 88 days after his birthday. California's got that 88 and 52. We just talked about these numbers in the ritual with the golf course on Trump, or the earthquake on Trump's golf course on 4/5, right before the 88th Masters, 88 weeks after the first pro tournament was there. But in Satanic Gematria, earthquake is also 457, the 88th prime. The full name of HARP, the military technology that has the power to create quakes, the full name of that technology is 457. Again, HARP was patented in 1987 on August 11th. We're coming up on that anniversary. San Andreas has the gematria of 96. The Rock's in the earthquake movie San Andreas. Here, let me just type that out real quick because I'm going off memory. I'm pretty sure that's right, though. Pretty sure I'm not mistaken. The most simple cipher, if I'm not mistaken, San Andreas is 96. It is. So 8 days after July 29th is August 6th. That would be crazy, you guys, because that's the Hiroshima anniversary. Jesse Ventura said sometimes when it starts quaking, that's not Mother Nature. That's a big bomb he planted down there back in his SEAL days. Jesse Ventura, again, former WWE wrestler, Navy SEAL, governor, presidential candidate, host of the show Conspiracy Theory on the Warner Brothers channel. Wasn't it on the WB, or am I making that up? I forget exactly what channel it was on. Maybe it wasn't Warner Brothers. Maybe that's just when they blow up buildings on Christmas in Tennessee, or was it Nashville? Go back and look at all that. I forget how that one was now. They blew up the Batman building, something like that. Yeah, The Rock was also born in 72. And you know what was crazy, you guys? Did you see what the baseball series was that started yesterday? So the earthquake was 2 days ago, right? The earthquake was July 29th. Yesterday was July 30th. Did you see what baseball series began yesterday, which again was 89 days after The Rock's birthday? Who's from the Bay Area? Did you see it? Hold on. If you didn't see it, let me put it up for you. I just want you to see it. You think, was there ever something crazy that happened in a World Series? Maybe had to do with an earthquake. Maybe I wrote a book with a chapter on it. How the whole thing was synced up with Jose Canseco, number 33. It was the last game on the slate. What's crazy, you guys, is the Athletics yesterday got their 75th win versus the Giants. All time in the head-to-head because they're interleague. American League, National League, they don't play each other a lot. But they got their 75th win versus the Giants yesterday. That earthquake happened October 17th in 89 on the day leaving 75 days left in the year. And like I said, there's a big thing with 75 in the Bay Area. In Gematria, San Francisco Giants equals 75. The 49ers won the 75th NFL season. That was the year the 49ers beat the Chargers in LA with 49 points. And Harbaugh, who's coached his whole NFL career and then went back to college and just won the championship with Michigan, but he left the NFL after coaching the 49ers with 49 career wins. Now he's coming back and coaching the Chargers this year. You just had this earthquake in LA the day before. It was 89 days after his birthday, and this is the first game of this series. And what's crazy is the A's won the game, right? But the A's came in with 44 wins, and the Giants came in with 55 losses, 44-55. Look at earthquake. Earthquake, 44-55. If you haven't read my book, the earthquake that happened in the 1989 World Series, it happened 107 days after Jose Canseco's birthday. He was the last thing shown on TV before it cut to buzz. It was a replay of the game the night before. That's how they could have had it perfectly synced up, because it was a recording they were playing. The earthquake happened at 5:04 p.m. local time, which stands out because baseball equals 54, and there's 54 outs in a game, just like Jesuit order. Remember, the first act of weather warfare admitted to on August 15th, 52, their birthday. But again, Jose Canseco's full name's 107. Last thing shown on TV, number 30. And it was perfect timing, too, because it's the highlight of him crossing the plate and pumping his fist, and then it all cuts to fuzz with the earthquake, just right on cue. But 107 days after his birthday, again, they come in with the 44.55. The 163 is the 38th prime. That's a Giants number, for the record. Because, again, the 1989 World Series was A's and Giants. And the A's swept the Giants in that World Series. They beat them 4-0. 4-0. So, The Rock. Oh, by the way, The Rock that year, he turned 17 years old, May 2nd, 1989. That earthquake was exactly 24 weeks after his birthday. And here we are in 2024. And 89 is the 24th prime number. You know, Harbaugh got that 89th win with Michigan, the 24th prime to win the championship. Mahomes got his 89th win in the NFL, the 24th prime, and won the Chiefs their 24th playoff game and winning the Super Bowl to start 2024 when Missouri's the 24th state. So, yeah, you even got the 5-2 score in this game last night. But that's what we talk about all the time. And we've been talking about for years, how they rig the sports games. They pay tribute to the stars, the news, the former players. You know, what's buzzing? Rigged scripts, tributes to history. But yeah, we've been saying this for a long time. You got to watch out when The Rock turns 52. So yeah, that is interesting. August 6th is 96 days after his birthday. San Andreas. Again, don't live in fear. Hopefully nothing happens. You know, maybe they'll wait till he's 55 years old. You know, maybe we got 3 more years until they do it. Can they wait until he's 88? I would like that as well. But again, the thing is, the psychopaths rule over us. They use our military against us. Ask people who aren't here anymore, whose people. Again, that's what people need to understand. This crazy stuff that's happening with the weather lately. It's not because we didn't, all switch over to electric cars. It's because we've ignored what we've been warned about with weather warfare. It's going to be, by the way, this year is the 72nd anniversary of the admission of weather warfare since August 15th, 1952. Yeah, I mean, and here I'm on the West Coast too. They say the Seattle-Portland area could actually get the worst of the West Coast earthquakes. Portland's known as Rip City, been on a major decline for a decade. But yeah, August 6th is 96 days later. Again, having some supplies on hand, dry food, water, and enough that, if you got enough food for a week, you're probably not going to really need to plan for more than that unless you got an underground bunker. Because if it's Fallout World and nothing's coming back after a week, starvation's probably the least of your problems at that point. You know what I mean? But again, if something did happen and things were shooken up and you didn't have anything on hand, it could get uncomfortable. I mean, think about what they did to the people in New Orleans with Katrina, and the government acted like it was a mystery. Like, whoa, where did this come from? When the cable news media for a whole week had been like hyping the probability of this happening, and then the federal government was like, we didn't hear anything about it. Sorry, black people. Yeah, just Donald Trump today in front of a black audience. His little gimmick. It was nice to see that an audience that didn't go along with his gimmick at all times. He might have won him over 1 or 2 times, but they're like, what? They're taking all the jobs from black people. What? They're taking all the black jobs. It was the best when they're like, wait, what are black jobs? He's like, oh, the same jobs other people have. It's like, why even say that? What a dumbass. And then 2 minutes later, he's back into bullshit mode. He's like, yeah, they're coming over and they're taking all the black and Mexican jobs. That's what he said. I was like, oh, the Mexicans coming across the border taking the black and Mexican jobs for, I guess, the Mexicans that already live in America. What is he saying? Maybe he said Hispanics or Latinos, but again, just guy's an idiot. All right, moving on. Yesterday. Yesterday was 46 days after Trump's birthday, or his 47th day of his age. Today's 47 days after his birthday, where he had his little mishap with the panel of black women in Chicago, where the DNC convention is going to be. Kamala could potentially become number 47. Remember, she spoke before Biden, where they were together on the 4th day of the 7th month, the nation's birthday. Obama took office at 47. Biden won that election in 72, which was the 47th presidential election. He could bring 47 together with Kamala and Obama if she becomes president. But yeah, the word heritage is 46. The Heritage Foundation, major conservative think tank. If you've probably bought something from the Heritage Foundation in your life and not even realized it. They might have been a door-to-door sales, and they might have had some nice postcards for. But they have a lot of money, and they're connected to a lot of things that you don't realize. I had a little girl come to my apartment years ago, and she was with an adult. I think it was her father, but she was kind of like the spokesperson. It wasn't Girl Scout cookies, but they were selling postcards. And at the time, I bought some because I just wanted to help her out. And then I noticed later, because she didn't mention nothing about the Heritage Foundation. But I noticed that on the back of the postcard, they had little stamps for the Heritage Foundation. I was like, and I knew what the Heritage Foundation was, and I didn't really want to support the Heritage Foundation because this is political, gross organization. But anyway, they're the whole thing that has the Project 2025, and they do have a lot of power, and no doubt they're part of the script. They're part of the cabal. But anyway, it is just interesting how it was 46 days after Trump's birthday, or the 47th day of his age, that this happened. Because as we know, 47 is this number highly connected to time, authority, the presidency, and obviously Project 2025. That's about a point in time. So this guy who runs the foundation steps down on the 47th day of Trump's age over the fallout from Project 2025, because the liberal media is using it to galvanize people to go against supposedly what the conservatives might have in store a year from now. And really, like, the Trump administration can, again, we know it's all rigged game, but they can say, like, oh, we don't have anything to do with that. At the end of the day, the Heritage Foundation has a lot to do with the Republican Party. So anything that they're thinking about is fair game and should be looked at that way, because Puppet Trump doesn't make any decisions. It is things like the Heritage Foundation that actually control the party. So, and we've been pointing out 2025 forever. The SPARS pandemic was a more recent thing, but the Deagle report is what everyone was talking about over 10 years ago. That Deagle website that was supposedly based on military intelligence. To this day, I don't know that anybody knows that website was true and authentic, but it was viral and popular, came across my radar before I even knew about Gematria. But that was the time frame the Deagle website was pointing to, was 2025 for a major population dip-off. Again, and they live, it's the year they have total control of the world. As I'm saying this out loud, I've talked about the movie Knowing so many times. I've recommended it 1,000 times. I've said it's one of the best movies to watch that Hollywood's put out in light of what we're revealing. Somebody said they just watched the movie and they noticed at the beginning the numbers turn into words, or turn into the title of the film Knowing, and they said it's the number sequence 8924 that becomes Knowing. If anybody's out there and can quickly look up Knowing and see if that's true, the way they wrote their comment, I think they meant at the beginning of the movie when you see the title. If it wasn't that, they had some sentence about the end, and I was like, so wait, does it happen at the beginning of the film or the end? But that I got to look into that before August 9th, 2024 comes around. If that really is in the movie, that it goes 8924 to Knowing. If you have not seen that movie, again, it's about an MIT professor who finds, at his daughter's school, there's a 50-year time capsule they open, and they pull out these things that students wrote down 50 years ago. And his daughter pulls out this just sequence of just long numbers. Every other kid from like the class wrote like, hope you're having a great life in the year 2000, whatever it was, or something like that. But for whatever reason, his daughter found this crazy just number sequence. So he started looking at it to see if there was anything in it, if you've never seen Knowing. And he realizes that the number sequence are all important dates in history. And at one point he realizes that it goes into the future, and he can be, it's not just dates. it's also coordinates of where the event will happen on the date. So it's the date with the coordinates. So he goes to, in the movie, he goes to this spot at that date, and then a plane just comes crashing down into the sky right there. It's one of the things that happens in the movie. But again, they're looking at Saturn in the beginning of the movie through a telescope. Saturn, the keeper of time. Saturn equals 93, like knowing. And 93 is another big Illuminati number as well. Big Aleister Crowley number. But there's a reason Israel was drawn up on September 3rd. Heritage Foundation is another one of these 93 things. And if you saw my work after the George Floyd killing on the 93rd Meridian West in the city that we call the 93 city, because Minneapolis, Minnesota equals 93. Remember, George Floyd was killed 225 days from his birthday. Derek Chauvin got 22 and a half years in prison. The Catholic Church of Minnesota settled the next day after the George Floyd killing news for $22.5 million for the sexual abuse of children. And then we got the story about his second grade teacher, Waynell Sexton. Remember what a cute boy he was? But we were showing how they encoded this 225 sequence all over the place and how it seemed to be pointing to the year 2025, kind of like how George Floyd was killed on Memorial Day, the 25th of May. 2025, we'll call it the year 25. And then again, we were talking about that before. Amazon put out the movie on their platform, Lockdown 2025, which is about the like end times breaking out in 2025 when the Great Tribulation has that 225 connection, as does the New World Order. So yeah, it's a year we've been talking about it from again, Deagle to They Live. Again, that's the year of the takeover 2025 to more recently Spars and this lockdown movie and the George Floyd thing. But yeah, it's too bad we're this far along because in a way, like from the way I felt when 9/11 happened, just like realizing that we've been lied to and they'd stirred up this big needless war, I wondered how long it would be until they did like the next thing as big as 9/11 and really shake up the world. And no doubt that was COVID. It was different, but it was even bigger. It impacted more people. And really, it wasn't as ugly and destructive as those towers in a major city coming down, but it ended up, well, God, I mean, all these things have been on. Maybe I'm wrong about that. The toll of 9/11's going on to do. Anyway, the point is this cabal behind all these things. Remember, from 9/11 to COVID-19 was 19 years later. These people work by the moon, which is on a 19-year cycle. Again, cycles of 19 years. I don't even want to see 2039, 19 years after 2020. They'll still be calling it COVID-19. Yeah, I think that's the main point there. So, the Moderno thing, if you missed it, they say the election, it looks like he stole it. It was 248 days after his birthday. Again, the Illuminati is 248. The United States of America is 248. We've been talking about how significant that number is right now. How it could relate with Donald Trump, President Donald Trump, 248. Manhattan Criminal Court, 248. He got a break from the Manhattan Criminal Court on the Illuminati's 248th birthday to campaign. Again, when they called the election for him in 2016, he was on 248 electoral votes. And from the Illuminati's 248th birthday to the day that election was 88 days later. Venezuela and the United States of America. A lot of history. Hugo Chavez died by the code. Maduro replaced him. Maduro replaced him. And yeah, there were some familiar numbers in that as well. Okay. Yeah, rioting broke out. People don't like being lied to. They're not as comfortable as America, thus the rioting. Someday America will be there. These countries we look at where these types of things happen, it'll happen in America too. It's a chance for the authorities to get out there, militarized police, and put the proles back in line. Again, just another quick recap. Erica Ashe, actress, Dead at 46, that infamous number. Genesis 46, the sacrifice number. Her birthday was 19/9, like 199, the 46 prime. I remember, what year would that have been? Would have been September 19, 2018. If you go back and look it up, there ended up being 2 big mass shootings in the news that day. And I was showing how there was going to be a mass shooting in the news for several weeks leading up to that day. There ended up being 2 that day. But it was that year, it had 46 date numerology. And chaos is 46, and ordo am chao, the Latin for order out of chaos, is 46. Again, just the point is 199 and 46, they come together a lot. It's like Tom Brady, the 199th pick. Tom Brady equals 46, like Michigan, where he went to school. He got to kiss the Pope's hand. Catholic equals 46. Harbaugh, who coached at Michigan, got to kiss the Pope's hand. Coached in that very Catholic San Francisco. But yeah, this woman was born on this date with this strong 46 connection, dies at 46. And then, scary movie. It's kind of like the way this election is right now. Her full name, Erica Chantel Ash, is 60. Like we got the 60th election upcoming. Kamala about to turn 60. Michelle just turned 60. Seeing 60 is the 42nd composite number. That racial slur, the N-word, has the 6042. Again, 60 is the 42nd composite number. Kamala with the 42, like Jackie, like slavery, like Beyonce's 42, giving her the freedom song by the numbers. She's having people question her blackness on February 11th, 2019, the 42nd day of the year, the anniversary of her mom dying. But yeah, I noticed her name, just how it overlapped with Joe Biden too, number 46, and also with Kamala Harris, in light of so much focus on how she could be close to becoming the first female president and also the first black female president, all in one. And again, it's a thin line between acting in the Oval Office. Something tells me they got Kamala working in shifts, working on her stage skills right now. But yeah, that was the other thing. She died in the 590th week. 590th week since the movie released. Scary movie, 59, 590. Number all over Black history. Kamala's 59 right now. They won the 59th election. Obama's Secret Service named Renegade 59. Oh, I got to come back to this. I got to show you guys the movie list of 1977 and 73, and I'll tell you why I looked at those years specifically. Predictive programming to the max. But by the way, just in light of how they sync up big news with the big game of the year, the biggest sports game of the year, the American Super Bowl, the 12 dead on the football field, right? Again, Hezbollah said they did not do this. They said they're being falsely blamed. They're lying. They didn't do it. But this is why Israel's bombing all over right now. The Hezbollah attack supposedly on the football field that killed 12 children, right? Again, the football field's typically 120 yards. A lot of the greatest quarterbacks of all time have worn the number 12. It has this resonance with the sport because of the field. Again, an NFL field, if anybody's out there like, no, it's 100 yards. Nope. It's 120 yards because there's 100 yards that you're thinking of, plus the end zones, which are each 10 yards. So 100 plus 10 is 120. But I noticed that, this happened on 27/7, like 277. That's the 59th prime. We got the 59th Super Bowl upcoming. And from this attack to the Super Bowl, 197 days later, which is the 45th prime number in New Orleans, is 45. So I'm going to be paying attention this year what they do in their NFL rituals, the storylines that are brought up. Who remembers the other year when they had a doubleheader on Monday Night Football? It began September 10th and it went into September 11th because the games were so long. But near the very end of the game, they have this girl come up and the camera zooms in on her, pumping the water into a player's mouth, and just sat there for like 20 seconds. I had an older video on this showing this because they wanted you to see her tattoo. She had the Star of David on her wrist, and it's like the longest shot in the history of football games, watching one of the sideline workers put water in the mouth of another player. And the thing was, it was the Rams game. Putting water in the mouth of a ram. Again, the ram's important to Judaism, and the ram's horn. And there was a Jewish holiday not too far off, but it was September 11th, and that day can be written 119, and Star of David's 119 in Gematria, just like Star Wars, which we're going to come back to in a second. The year Star Wars came out. We talked about that many times in the past, but now I'm really seeing what they did with the Star Wars series. Another thing that just has people under a spell. I was always blown away growing up how much people love Star Wars. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I enjoyed it as a kid. I don't think I'd seen any of the movies all the way through until I was much older in life. But I just remember how crazy everyone was about it. I never understood why everyone was so crazy about shows and movies and cartoons. As a kid, I just like playing outside and playing with other kids. The TV, man. I mean, on a rainy day, don't get me wrong, a funny movie with your friends, playing some video games here and there. But ultimately, I just always wanted to be outside, and screens were just like ruining our game sometimes. And other kids wanted to go in and do this, or the Full House. You guys, for years in my life, I always heard Full House. Kids going in to watch Full House, and I was like, what is this Full House show? I mean, like probably 5 years went beyond of my life hearing about Full House before I finally saw it for myself. And then when I saw it, I was like, what? You guys have been ruining the game to watch this? A house about like, what is it? 2 gay dads raising some girls in San Francisco? I mean, come on, man. Somebody's getting mad. They're like, no, they weren't gay dads. Well, are you sure? Are you sure? There was a lot of men there, not a whole lot of women around them, as I remember. And it was San Francisco. And let's not forget Danny Tanner, right? Didn't Danny Tanner, he did the broadcast, the YouTube with his wife. And he said months before remember they did him dirty that year for the 49ers who made it to, they make it the conference championship that year. But he was an early sacrifice along the way. But months earlier, he did that podcast with his wife. And he said, apparently I'm going to die in bed. Why did he say that? Because the story ended up being that he hit his head and died in bed. And that doesn't raise an eyebrow? Sounds like a conspiracy theory. Wind up toy people. It's like, when is it? When do we go beyond it just sounds like a conspiracy theory and we actually look at how strange it is? Start to ask some questions. What are the odds that the guy who played Danny Tanner said he's going to die in bed on his wife's podcast? And I remember there was a lot more to it. It was like another perfect number ritual. We can go back and verify that. But just the fact that it ended up happening. And I do remember it was like 3 weeks after he died that there was a new breaking headline that he was actually hit very hard on the head. It's like, it sounded sus from the beginning. He bumped his head in bed and died. I mean, how many men do that in their healthier years like he was still in? And then later it's like, oh, he really shellacked his head. It's like, did he shellack his head or did somebody shellack his head? Maybe he wasn't supposed to read that script out on his wife's podcast, or maybe that was his way of warning the world. Maybe some of these people do know what they signed up for, and they know when their number's nearly up. Maybe that's also the thing. Maybe he knew his number was up, and he kind of just wanted to drop a clue out there. His wife didn't seem to care too much. She's like, it was an arranged marriage anyway. The severe consequences thing, you guys. If you haven't been keeping up with all my coverage of what's been going on since this weekend. Golan Heights, where the attack happened, supposedly on the soccer field. It was 214 weeks in a couple, I think actually 6 days after Trump's birthday. But he was the first person I looked up because I remember on his 74th birthday how he got land in the Golan Heights. Oh, so I might have just misspoke. It was since he got that land in the Golan Heights, Trump, it was 214 weeks in 6 days. That's what it was from the day he got the land. That's what I meant to say, not his birthday. But this 214 again is huge with Trump. It's the Church of Satan number, if you will. It's the Ronald Reagan number. The highest degree of the Church of Satan's mega. Both Trump and Reagan have run on it. A lot of 214s. Again, the whole assassination things, 214 city as we covered. JFK shot in the 214 area code. Dead at Parkland. The Parkland shooting on 214. They start tearing down the Parkland High School on Trump's birthday. His 78th birthday when Kennedy's 78. And the next thing you know, you got a shooting on 195 on the 195th day of the year when Robert Kennedy's 195, who got shot on the campaign trail and died. And now his son's running and he gets Secret Service coverage after the Trump scare. Synced up with the establishment of the Secret Service, which goes back to the anniversary of the day Lincoln was shot. Anyway, yeah, there's a few other notes here, but the 214 thing is just, it's in a lot of places. Some people did some great decode. Shout out to Ralph in LA. Again, Chino XL, the hip hop music's 50 years old right now, born in the Bronx. It's going to turn 51 August 11th. But here we are at the end of it being 50, and a Bronx rapper, Chino XL's dead at 50. He had a hip hop beef with Tupac. Tupac died in history on September 13th. Remember that day can be written 13/9, like Tupac Shakur's 139, like America, like Freemasonry. Again, Simone Biles just had the big 139 ritual. Just talking about that. But his death was reported yesterday, and yesterday was the day leaving 154 days left in the year. It's not the day he died, though, but they saved the news of his death for the day leaving 154 days. His birth name, Derek Keith Barbosa, overlap with ritual sacrifice in 3 out of the 4 ciphers, 154, 73, 107. The day he died was 46 days before the anniversary of Tupac's death. Sacrifice 46, Rap 46, Svengali 46. Or you could say it's a span of 47 days if you counted all the dates. July 28th, the day he passed, July 29th, July 30th, July 31st, all the way up to September 13th. That's a span of 47 days. Chino XL has that gematria 47. And we've seen plenty of tributes to Tupac in the deaths of more current hip hop stars, like it's part of just one ongoing script. And again, we know it all goes back to this Jesuit cabal. Yeah, he's also a New York rapper and died 111 days after his birthday. The old New York number, like September 11th, on the day leaving 111 days left in the year. He was dead 14 days before hip hop's birthday. Yeah, it's sad. Somebody said, hold on, let's look at this, because we knew it was coming. We said when they celebrated the 50th birthday, we're like, what hip hop star is going to die at age 50? And it ended up being Magoo, who had a lot of radio play with Timbaland. He wasn't like the biggest rap star there ever was, but again, most people know his name. He was all over the radio for a period of time. Linked up with Timbaland, who's a big name in the industry. He's like the number 2 producer behind Dr. Dre, probably most people say, in terms of just at least recognition and how many different places his name is. I mean, Timbaland even did an album with Chris Cornell from Soundgarden. But Magoo died at 50, right after hip hop's 50th birthday. He was born in 72. It's the year Biggie was born in. It's the year Puff Daddy's dad was murdered in at age 33. Hold on. I'm trying to get Magoo up here. They got rid of Magoo's Wikipedia. Are you serious? He's dead and now he doesn't even have a Wikipedia. That's crazy. See, he died 2 days after hip hop's birthday. Born July 12th. Okay, but somebody said it's exactly 50 weeks since Magoo died. So I just got to check that out. I want to see if that's true. August 13th, 2020. I guess that's making sense because not 2020, 2023 to July 28th, 2024. It is. That is sick. Man, both dead at 50 and the time of hip hop being 50. It's satanic, you guys. Remember, the word satanic itself has gematria 50, just like San Francisco, where the Church of Satan was founded. Again, Anton LaVey died in the big Jesuit ritual. Jesuits running near NFL, the Lombardi Trophy. Vince Lombardi, a Jesuit, died unexpectedly at Jesuit Georgetown by the numbers. San Francisco used to be 5-0. Used to have 5 Lombardi trophies, never lost in the big game, not until the Harbaugh Bowl. Not until they started syncing them up with Joe Montana as they lose to the Chiefs. And I'm pretty sure the next time the Niners will be in a Super Bowl, they'll be 5-4. We'll see. Unless they end up playing Buffalo. That's the only way I could really see that going a different way, but just Joe Montana with that strong 54 connection. Niners lost Super Bowl 54 and Super Bowl 58, the 54th of the modern era, to the Chiefs. And they were both about 19 when Montana wore 19 for the Chiefs. 16 with the Niners. Like the score was 16-19 in last year's Super Bowl 4. It was tied up 19-19 before the Chiefs became the first to win back-to-back in 19 years as McCole Hardman scores his 19th touchdown. Okay. Let me see. If you missed this thing about just how CNN's saying John Roberts is getting a lot less moderate and a lot more extreme as his 20th term approaches while he's 69. Just notice, you guys, look how perfect it is. This guy was put in by George W. Bush. He's been there a long time now. But Supreme Court, 69 is his age. He's been there since a pretty young person. 20th term about to begin. Judge gavel John time. Another time where it is 25. And that 20th term is going to be going on during 2025. But yeah, again, just how the script is unfolding. You know, he's getting more extreme, John, at this significant age, after this significant amount of terms. Again, judge and gavel, witch and broom. Both of those words are the exact same in all 4 base ciphers. Judge and gavel, the perfect pair, witch and broom. There's other ones out there like that, but I mean, those words are peas in a pod. Now, I gotta share this. Somebody in the community, we'll keep them anonymous, but they shared with me that their family was part of this government that used to exist in Liberia. I didn't know about any of this, but when the family member who was the leader was assassinated, everyone connected to this family had to leave Africa, and they all went back to America. And so I just wanted to look into this, the assassination of his family member in history, William Tolbert. Look at what day he was killed, you guys. I didn't understand. This was an American government that essentially set up government and took over Liberia. So just think about that. But he ends up getting assassinated on April 12th. Again, this infamous date. It's the day the American Civil War began in 1861. It's typically the 102nd day of the year. We know 102 is big with the Jesuits through their Art of War code, but it's also big through the slavery code and the racial code. So many 102 rituals with racial slurs, racism. Again, the N-word's got the 102 like slavery. April 12th, typically the 102nd day of the year. Now, notice his birthday is May 13th. That is the 133rd day of the year. When he was assassinated, it ended 133 years of this Americo-Liberia rule in Liberia. And as we know, government equals 133, like president, like White House, like the ritual they just did with Trump, 133 days from the Kennedy assassination, when Revelation 13:3 is about the beast getting the head wound, when beast equals Trump. But yeah, 133 years of rule came to an end. He was born on the 133rd day of the year. Americo-Liberian equals 80. This went down in 1980. It was a leap year that this happened. So April 12th is typically the 102nd day of the year. Because it was a leap year, it was the 103rd day of the year. He was overthrown by the armed forces of Liberia. 103. Like Jesuits equals 103. And then you just look at the history of it. It was established in 1847 on July 26th, 26/7, like 267. Again, that's that number heavily connected to Philadelphia. Philadelphia is connected to Boulay. And May 13th is a big day for the Boulay as well, which is his birthday. So that might not be an accident. But yeah, if you're out there watching, man, it looks like your family's got done dirty by the same exact code. Samuel Doe was who replaced him, supposedly behind the assassination. But yeah, R.I.P. to him. And that said, I want to go back to these years in Hollywood, just about Hollywood and us living out planned out scripts. all of a sudden in my mind, I was like, I got to look at what the top movies were in 1977. And then I also want to check it out in 1973. And the reason I did those years is because 1977 is 201 years after the Illuminati was established and 201 years after the United States of America was established. Well, at a certain point in that year, it was. May 1st, Illuminati's birthday, July 4th, US's birthday, obviously. And then 1973 is 201 years after Art of War was established. So let's start with 1977. Look at the biggest movie of that year, Star Wars, right? We've talked about this because that was the year 77. Star Wars has the same gematria as Star of David, that 119. The year 77 is interesting because Judaism 77, Zionist is 77, theater 77. Not long after that, Ronald Reagan would help Israel through U.S. taxpayers pay for their Star Wars missile defense system. Right now, Trump is on the campaign trail saying he wants Star Wars in the United States. And I was just thinking about how, it came out on the 25th of May. It's the George Floyd thing too. I'm like, is that pointing into the year 2025 as well? But yeah, that came out 24 days after the Illuminati's 201st birthday. Remember, State of Israel equals 201, like Order of Illuminati equals 201, like the Jesuit Order. Like again, David Ben-Gurion died 201 days after the anniversary of Israel's establishment, and the founder of the Illuminati died 201 days after the anniversary of the Illuminati's establishment. But yeah, that was the top movie. And then the next movie, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, that's the one where Steven Spielberg zooms in on the mailboxes that are shaking when the aliens are coming down. And it's zoomed in right on number 201 on the mailbox. That movie came out 201 years. And again, Spielberg stuck in 201 in the beginning of War of the Worlds. In Saving Private Ryan, he dies, the main character, on the day leaving 201 days left in the year. Saturday Night Fever with John Travolta and the Scientologist. Remember, Scientology has crazy overlap with Jesuit Order. Try it out. Scientology and Jesuit Order. Just check it out. I haven't seen Smokey and the Bandit. Didn't they remake The Goodbye Girl? So there could be things. How about In Search of Noah's Ark? That came out on the Vatican's birthday. The Holy Bible 201. How about number 7 that year? Oh God. Look at what day it came out. October 7th. Remember, you guys, that's the day leaving 85 days left in the year. Templar equals 85. Like crossed is 85. Like crucify is 85. Like why we started the Crusades after 9/11 in the Middle East, and why Israel started their Crusades in the Middle East on October 7th. The Spy Who Loved Me. Oh, man. That's funny. That movie came out on July 13th, now the anniversary of the Trump assassination, and it's perfectly synced with his wife, who's from that part of the world where, the KBG operate. Interesting. Annie Hall, Semi-Tough, Pete's Dragon, The Gauntlet, The Turning Point, Heroes, High Anxiety. How about this one? Airport 77. Remember how big 201 was on big 9/11? How big 77 was? Flight 77? That movie came out the day after Osama bin Laden's birthday. It also came out March 11th, which is the day they did the tribute in light to the World Trade Centers. The Twin Towers became 0 towers before they became one World Trade Center. Flight 77 hit the 77-foot-tall Pentagon on the 77th meridian 77 minutes after taking off. Again, look it up. I didn't come up with that. That's all in the report. Took off at 8:20 and crashed at 9:37. That's 77 minutes. Flight 77. Still haven't released any video of it happening. They did simulate, though, with Pentagon Maskell, the attack on the Pentagon 322 days before it happened. Just like they did Operation Amalgam Virgo 102 days before 9/11. Came with the cover sheet of Osama bin Laden's face. Al-Qaeda going to attack the U.S. with cruise missiles. And again, the way those explosions happened at the World Trade Center, that's what cruise missiles look like. Planes shouldn't explode like that. Herbie Goes to Monte Carlo. I've never seen that one, but it came out on Freemasonry's birthday. I bet there's something to that. The Rescuers, Slapshot, Freaky Friday. The second Exorcist came out. Again, 201 years after the Illuminati. The first Exorcist was the top movie of 73, 201 years after Art of War. And I just think about that whole movie set at Jesuit Georgetown, Exorcist. And again, just the art of war text is about how, it's better to defeat your foe through tactics other than warfare. Just trick them right out of everything they knew. Just rule over them through deception. I realize the way that we're ruled over and just controlled is just with constant fear. And I remember they said people were just horrified when the Exorcist movie came out. People had to run out of the theater. They'd never seen anything so scary. So I was like, wow, that's crazy that The Exorcist came out 201 years after Art of War, and they really do conquer us through fear. I mean, do I have to tell you about what happened after Event 201 and the old cooties? The Other Side of Midnight, For the Love of Benji, The World's Greatest Lover, Which Way is Up, Kingdom of the Spiders, Looking for Mr. Goodbar, MacArthur, Sinbad. Was Sinbad really on this? Is that the same Sinbad? He wasn't on the scene in 1977. No way. It's got to be a different Sinbad. Is it Sinbad in the Eye of the Tiger? If that's the same Sinbad, man, I didn't realize he'd gotten started that early. I don't think it could possibly be. The Kentucky Fried Movie, Orca, New York, New York. Interesting. Sorcerer, Bobby Deerfield, Wizards, Islands in the Stream, Eraserhead, Thunder and Lightning, March or Die. Okay, so those are the movies in 77. Maybe I haven't seen a lot of those movies, so it's hard for me to comment, but Star Wars and again, a movie about a war versus good and evil, so it plays on biblical themes. Again, the Bible has that big 201 connection as well. The Light, the Force. Anyway, let's look at 1973. Top movie that year, again, Exorcist, set at Jesuit Georgetown, and just what I said about controlling people through fear. Next movie was The Sting. Haven't seen it. American Graffiti. I've heard of that movie. Haven't seen it. Papillion, The Way We Were, Magnum Force, Live and Let Die. I've definitely heard the title of that movie, but I haven't seen that either. Is that the original Robin Hood? Paper Moon. I've seen Serpico. It's the one about the corruption in the police force. Look at the 11th, the number 11 movie of that year. Again, Art of War was put out by the Jesuits in 1772 by the Jesuit priest Father Ahmed of France. Jesuit Christ, I almost said Jesuit. Jesus Christ Superstar, number 11 that year. Bruce Lee's Enter the Dragon came out that year on the Jesuit order's birthday, and that's the year he died. Remember, he died on the 201st day of the year. Art of War set in China, or excuse me, not set in China. It's supposed. Think about that. It's so obvious that's why they did that to Bruce Lee that year. Now, putting that all together, again, Art of War is supposedly written by Sun Tzu, but there's no proof of Sun Tzu ever existed. The Jesuit logo is the sun. The reason people know about Art of War is because of the Jesuit priest who published it in 1772. So Bruce Lee, like the most famous Chinese person in the world, dies that year on the 201st day of the year, and then they put out the movie after his death on August 15th. I mean, come on. And don't forget, he died while filming Game of Death, and then they released that in the very Jesuit ritual in 79. For whatever reason, this website doesn't show as many movies for 1973 as it does 77. But Sleeper was the next one after Enter the Dragon. That one actually came out on the Pope's birthday. Came out on his 37th birthday. He was a young man back then. A Touch of Class, The Day of the Jackal, High Plains Drifter, The Last Detail, Battle for the Planet. Is that a Planet of the Apes movie? I don't know if that's Planet of the Apes. I don't know what the full title is. Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, Last Horizon, Westworld. Westworld that was made into a show on HBO, Jesuit Run Network. That one came out on the day, leaving 68 days left in there. I've never seen the original Westworld, but it makes me interested. Big show for Jesuit HBO. I've seen a little bit of the show on HBO, and I'm remembering they set up an AI, but like essentially an AI robot world that's highly realistic for wealthy people to come and experience the Wild West. If I remember right, aren't they even sleeping with like essentially synthetic prostitutes? Or in Westworld, have they figured out? Maybe they turned. I forget, in the show, were they actually using humans that they like rewired and made alive through computers and robotics? I forget. I've only seen a little bit of the show, but that movie definitely stands out coming out that year as well too. It's like people are loving the market right now, investing in the AI stocks. They're making a killing, but in a way, it's like, are they making a killing on like securing the all this investment into this to a technology that's here to replace us? It's like enjoy your short term gains. The what was the movie about like an AI robot that came out? Maybe, God, it might be getting close to 10 years now. I'm trying to remember the title of it. But it's like a guy gets a chance to go out and live with some super genius tech billionaire. He owns all this land way out in the woods, and then he reveals to him that he's got these this project going on at his house, like kind of top secret. And then he uses his AI woman to almost as like a test to see how it'll interact with this, something like that. Is it La Machina, Ex Machina, Machina, however you say the word? Whatever that movie is, though, it's interesting. It's well done, and it's thought provoking. Again, when does the technology go too far? They've been warning us about that with the movies forever. Didn't Terminator come out in 1984 of all years? Terminator's got that same Gematria 52 like technology, like government, like authority, like devil. Years ago, CNN had that headline that technology is the beast. All right. Ex Machina or Machina or however you pronounce it. Yeah, that's right. Thank you. All right. Appreciate that. Fizzy facts. Albert Wesker. Thank you, Albert. The Braves won by 4 runs today, and their run differential is now plus 59 before facing the Miami Marlins. This knowledge pays, and I appreciate the work, Zach. Indeed. We had this conversation today on Patreon for anyone who's like, what's he talking about? We talked about how if the Braves won by 4 today, they'd go into Miami plus 59 when Miami Marlins like 59. And you see a lot of stuff like that going on every series in baseball because it's all scripted. And you know what? When you can call an exact score at a 4-run margin, that has a huge value. And that's how you can learn how to turn $1 into $100. And no, you can't do that every day. But that's what I've always taught, how to use this knowledge to make a small wager risk, parlay a few things, something like that. You can turn $1 into over $100. Yes, you can. We've been doing it for a long time. So shout out to Albert Wesker. I appreciate the tip. Social Decode says, new Trump shooting footage today. Mockery. Oh, boy. Can you see the bullet through? Remember how the New York Times took the photo where supposedly you could see the bullet? Oh, man. Did you see the Nationals demoted number 45 on 4-7? I did not, but I get the joke already. Remember, the Nationals won the 115th World Series after Trump took office with the 115th Congress, where he had Steve Ray, the Nationals announcer, do Inauguration Day, and they won the World Series 138 days after Trump's birthday, when Nationals equals 138, like their manager named Dave Martinez equals 138, like Donald Trump equals 138. We saw all that before the playoffs got underway. Again, the power of the knowledge. Walada T with a big 20. Thank you, Walada T. Very generous. I don't think I've seen your name before either, so I appreciate that. They said black people plus white people equals dissociation colors. Masonic, yeah, indeed. Masonic checkerboard to dissociate the subconsciousness. We are all one race, human, exactly how people should see it. And again, if you have young children play together and no one's taught them anything about race, they don't even think about the race. They just think, oh, another little kid to play with. Yeah, indeed. Yeah. They want they just try to, there's the cabal just wants to divide us in every way they can, and some people allow themselves to get caught up in the narratives they feed us. They want us to take a side in all this stuff. You don't have to take a side in anything they're feeding you. Say, I'm immune to that. I see through these manipulation tactics. Thank you again, Rick James, for all your donations, just like that one. I appreciate that. And thank you for that one as well. And shout out to John Mendoza. John Mendoza must have looked at the beginning of Knowing. Very interesting. Okay. So, again, somebody left a comment today and they said that the Knowing title at the beginning of the movie, for years, I've said, you got to watch this movie, Knowing. You got to watch Knowing. It's a Nicolas Cage movie. You watch that movie and you're aware that you're like, wow, this is one of these Hollywood movies that was trying to give people some clues. That is interesting that the numbers are 2498. So that could be interpreted August 9th or September 8th. And August 9th, again, is going to be the 50th anniversary of Gerald Ford replacing Richard Nixon, who resigned that day, saying, I'm not a crook. You just had the Trump shooting by supposedly a guy named Crooks. But yeah, August 9th is interesting. I guess September 8th is because they can both be written 8-9. Harris has that 89 connection. August 9th, though, is the day leaving 144 days left in the year. Well, God, but September 8th is the 251st day of the year, the 54th prime. Both the 144 and 54 have a lot to do with the deaths of the Kennedys. Kennedy curse equals 144 and 54, like Jesuit order. August 9th, though, August 9th is also connected to Black Lives Matter because that jumped off after Michael Brown, who supposedly died on that day. Michael Brown, another 201. This year will be the 11th anniversary. No. The 10th anniversary. The 10th anniversary this year of the death of Michael Brown. It was August 9th, 2014. Appreciate you doing that, John, and sending a tip to boot. You are the man. Thank you. I didn't catch this story. Leanne Lucas, huh? 35. It synced with Taylor Swift's 35th birthday. She was the hero teacher. Snap. I just realized what time it is, you guys. I have to get off. I went longer than I'm supposed to be making dinner right now. I got a hungry prego mama that's gonna be here pretty soon, and I'm behind on dinner. So yeah, again, I do. If you got here late, I want to get back to doing something like TFR, a weekly show. I've been missing it too. But I think I'm going to hold off on starting a weekly routine show until after the little one comes, which is just a few months away. And I just want to see if we adjust into a schedule where I find a nice block of time each week that I know I can consistently do the recurring broadcast. I just imagine, life's going to be a little bit busier with the little one. So we might do some collaborative live streams though. Who knows? It might help spread the word. Maybe all you need is a little baby in the background. So, but yeah, seriously though, having the little one come, it just reminds me that something. Again, it's been the same mentality the whole time. Something seriously has to change about this world. People have to wake up and stop the agendas that are in place in this world. I've said the same thing the whole time, even before I had a little one of my own. It's just not fair it's not fair to anybody, especially the young people. It's not fair to all the little kids that are growing up in this town that I live in. They're growing up right now, and the river's all crazy, and weird stuff's coming out of the irrigation water. As a little kid, you got a brain too. I mean, just bad signs all around you from a young age. That's not right. There's so many things that just aren't right now. So, all right, we'll leave it there, True Seeker. Thanks again to everyone who hits the like and the share, and yeah, keep giving me feedback on, do you guys like what I'm doing by just pumping out the short videos? Are you even getting notifications? Are you seeing them? The views aren't great, but they are technically better and longer watch percentages than my live streams. I'll see how the analytics do on this live stream. I use the TFR thumbnail to see if that's something that just makes people click on streams. Historically, that got decent views, better than anything we get these days, but yeah, I don't know if we'll ever have TFR back because that's Chris Geo's radio network and he's missing in action and everybody's locked out of the station. So, here, I want to address this question real quick. I do got to start dinner, but this question right here, it's me, Aries T. again, if you could find my old videos when I first started, I talked about how I'd like to have kids someday, but I don't want to have kids until I see the world getting better. And I was 30 years old then. Now I'm 41. Um, I haven't seen the world get better, but the mentality thought the change in the mentality was, well, maybe the world isn't going to get better, but if humanity's ever going to change the world, it's going to need good people. I do feel bad that I got a little one coming into a world with all the stuff going on in it, but again, if humanity is going to exist and make a better world, like I just said, there's going to have to be people that are going to make that positive change. Does it ever happen? Maybe not. The downside is maybe you bring a little one into the world and it wasn't a good time to be alive. That's a real possibility too. But I don't know. You have to maintain some kind of optimism, and even when things are bad, right? There's still beauty in life too. So as long as we got clean water to drink and air to breathe, and again, if this cabal's not put out of commission, that's a big question mark too. So you're born in the same year as me, all right? So we're like the same age. Well, I hear what you're saying, but yeah, I mean, I don't think you're wrong. I'm just saying that's what changed with my mentality. Well, this live show's about to end if you just got here. So, but yeah, if you guys want me to do more streams rather than short videos, just let me know. I'm just trying to make the channel be more successful. Every time I try and jump on a platform like Rumble, I get like 5 views. Go to BitChute, I get like 10 views. Like, okay, we'll go back to YouTube. It's horrible on YouTube, but it's better than 5 on Rumble or 10 on BitChute. Yeah, indeed. You can't live in fear. Indeed, indeed, indeed. So, all right, True Seeker. Have a good rest of your day. And until next time.